What if you could make a living on just the royalties of your book by cutting out the retailer and making 50% more on each book that you sell? What if you had the contact information of everyone who purchased a copy of your book? Today, I'm going to talk about how that continues to change and what it means for potential authors and being able to publish their book through their website and having higher margins, more reach, and being able to build stronger connections with their readers. And at the end of this episode, I'll be answering a reader's question on the pros and cons of traditional versus self-publishing. So stick around. This is Your Path to Publish. I'm your host, Zach Christensen. For the past decade, our team has guided authors just like you to find the best path to publish your book, get people excited to buy it even before it launches, and to turn it into the ultimate business card to build your business and your legacy. If you are ready to get your book out of your head and into people's hands, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. For those of you who are old enough, you may remember being able to go to work or go with your friend groups or see people at different social functions, and you had all seen the same TV show for the most part. There weren't dozens of streaming services. There wasn't as much access to cable, TV, and mostly everyone watched the same programming. In one way, I'm glad that there's more access and more opportunities for individuals to tell their stories through that medium. But in some ways, I really miss being able to talk about and discuss at a deeper level some of the plot twists, the surprises, what I liked and didn't like, how funny something was, and be able to use that as a connection point with others. That's still possible today, but you really have to find the communities, find the individuals who are watching and viewing the same thing that you are. Everything has now become more incredibly niched down and is becoming more and more customized. And it's shifting towards building all of these micro communities. And the same thing that's happened with TV shows, movies, and streaming services has happened and continues to happen with books. There are millions of books published every year. And for authors, it becomes increasingly challenging to figure out who is reading my book and where are they hanging out. And so it's shifting towards building your own communities. And with that, and today's topic, it gives a huge opportunity for authors to be able to build these communities that they control on their own sites or on a platform that gives them increased access to knowing who their readers are, who bought their book and when, and being able to further know more about their readers and why they like their book. So why I believe this change continues to come is that it's harder to get people's attention. And when you get it, you want to keep it and build out on that trust with your potential target audience. So right now, retailers control a lot of that. Amazon knows exactly who's buying your book. They know probably quite a bit of information about those individuals, but you as the authors don't have access to that. So if you're doing all of the work to go out there and promote your book, to write your book, shouldn't you get most of the benefit? You should get the benefit of making more money and not having 40 to 60% being taken out. You should be able to know who is buying your book. And that's really where self-publishing a book has really grown over the past 15, 20 years. And self-publishing a book has basically come in two different models. The first model is you print your own books and you either find someone to ship it for you or you put the books in your garage or bedroom and then make a trip to FedEx or UPS or the post office each time a book order is placed, whether that's on your website or through a retailer like Amazon. The other model has been print on demand, which is a huge game changer because you don't have to pay for your book until it prints and you don't have to have that risk. Now, there are different trade-offs with that. Often the biggest cost associated with going through retailers, as I talked about, is that they're taking between 40 and 60% of the money, depending on the platform and what you allow your wholesale discount to be to them and where it's being distributed. But what if you could cut out that retailer and recapture the cost? There are a lot of different self-publishing platforms out there, such as Ingram Spark, BookBaby, Lulu, Book Vault, and many others that are now offering an e-commerce solution that's fairly simple to do. Some, like Ingram Spark, is all you're doing is creating a link that you send to others, and you're selling directly to those individuals through your website or through a text or some other means. And you're cutting out and making a lot more money. For example, I recently worked with an author who went from making $8 a book through Amazon as a retailer up to making $22 a book through their website. Now, there are trade-offs. Maybe the shipping isn't as quick, but you can now offer steeper discounts and still be making more money on your book to help make up for some of those trade-offs. Other places are integrating directly to your Shopify account, which means when someone buys a book, you can now know their information and know exactly who is buying your book and engage with them further. Now, it's not perfect yet. There are still a lot of bugs to be worked out, and you still have to have some technical knowledge, and you don't have access to all the customer information yet on all of the platforms, but it is getting better. And I'm super excited about this. This gives you as authors the ability to make more money and have your book be maybe a loss leader that maybe makes actually a few bucks than just breaking even. If you're speaking at a big event, you now can send a link with a customized discount, and everything will be taken care of in one spot, and the books will be shipped via the vendor's printing system, and it will arrive right where you need it. So you have to spend less time on gathering all of the books and doing all of the heavy lifting on that end. It's just making things more easier and more streamlined. So if you're an author who's been debating and wanting to have something like this, go out there and explore what the options are and what would fit for you. And by doing this, you're going to be able to start building a community of buyers. And the next time you launch a book, you'll be able to get more books sold more quickly and with more profitability. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review. This helps us to show up as people are searching for our content and subjects that we are covering to help authors get from having an unfinished manuscript to finding their best path to publish and launching a best-selling book. And in next week's episode, I'm going to cover more about traditional publishing and why authors are generally disappointed with their book publisher. If you have any questions about a recent episode that you'd like to submit, visit juxtabook.com/yourpathtopublish and click on the appropriate button to leave your question.
Hey, this is Matt Vance. I'm wondering what the difference is between traditional publishing and self-publishing. Essentially, what are the pros and cons of each route? Thanks.
This is a question that every single author, I'm sure, has at one point asked themselves, because with all the different publishing options out there, it can be confusing. And as the question mentioned from Matt, there's traditional publishing, self-publishing, and I'm going to add in hybrid publishing as well, because that's becoming a more and more viable option for authors. Within each of those routes, there are little nuances, but I do want to hit on the kind of general overview of the most important things to be thinking about when understanding which of the paths you want to go down or explore as an author. Traditional publishing for decades was what the route was. That was the main option for authors to go from. And that's putting your book proposal together, finding an agent. Nowadays, you may not need an agent. And basically selling your book rights to a publisher. And they may pay you for that, which is called an advance. And you would then work with them to get your book finished, out there, and distributed. Now, some of the trade-offs with it are you are giving up some degree of creative control. Most publishing contracts will have something written in there that favors that the publisher has the final decision. Now, relationship-wise, I don't think a lot of publishers want to have a bad relationship with their author. They want a good relationship, so there is a degree of collaboration and working together to find out how to work through any challenges or bumps in the roads that you may run into. Traditional publishing takes longer. If you have a manuscript done today and you get it in with a publisher and accepted, let's say within a month, then you're probably looking at the soonest, depending on how quickly the publisher moves and wants to put this book out there, within 8 months, maybe 6, but I would say the soonest is 8 months, and then you may be waiting up to a year for your book to be out there. The royalties are lower. Even if you get in advance, the royalties are lower. Think of it that you're getting about 10 to 15% of the net price. And so that's the price and royalty you get after like the retailers, such as Amazon has taken their cut. The printing costs are taken out, and then you split what's left over with the publisher. So depending on the book and genre and pricing of your book that you're in, you're probably making anywhere from 50 cents to at most $2 per book. Even though you're getting a smaller royalty, there is less risk for you up front in regards to cost and budget. If you get your book sold to a traditional publisher, they are going to cover the costs for the developmental editor, the grammar or copy editor. They're going to cover the cost for printing the book and designing the cover and layout of the interior of the book. That is very appealing to authors, especially if you have a smaller budget and you can't afford to put the money in up front. So let's jump over to self-publishing. Self-publishing is pretty much the opposite of traditional publishing. You own all the upfront costs. So the editing, the design and layout, and there's a lot of ways you can go out there and do it yourself to lower the cost, but then you got to think about the trade-off of the quality. You have full creative control. You decide what you do and don't like, what you want to do when you want to do it. That gives you freedom and a lot of flexibility to do things on your terms as the author. And then with that comes with the timeline. You have a shortened timeline. And depending on how you want to go about publishing it, if you want to start with an ebook, or if you want to go with a print-on-demand book, or if you want to print your own books and ship them out of your garage or send them to Amazon or ship when someone orders it on your website. And with that comes higher royalties. Instead of making 50 cents to $2 per book, you could make anywhere from $8, depending on how your book is priced. You're making more of like a 50-60% royalty. And if you're selling it direct from your website, you could be making as much as an 80% royalty, depending on your costs. I recently worked with an author and they're distributing through Amazon, and they're also selling off of their website. If they sell through Amazon, they make 3 times less than they would if they sell directly from their website. The third option is hybrid publishing, which is in between self-publishing and traditional publishing. You get a lot of the services of a traditional publisher all within one house, one company, one distribution channel. You still own the full copyright of the book, and you can have different distribution channels to choose from, but the biggest trade-off is you are fronting the cost. You're basically having a team and hiring a team to work with you and have someone run and project manage everything. You still have a high degree of creative control, but the cost is significantly higher. You're going to be spending probably at least $10,000, and you could spend upwards of $100,000 for a hybrid publisher. And that does include more of like branding and marketing services. So how do you go about choosing which of these options is right for you? The first thing I want to find about with the authors I work with is why. Why are you writing this book? And as an extension of that, what do you hope the book does for its readers? And what do you hope the book does for you as the author? And then based on that, based on those answers, you can go in a little bit deeper onto what's important to you to have with each of the areas of the book. Do you need high creative control? Do you need a shorter timeline? What's your budget? Your why and the goals for your book will help create guardrails to make a decision on which of the publishing paths could be optional for you. Now, if you're not sure and you're in the early enough stages of wrapping up finishing your book, you could always try for traditional publishing, see what the offers you get are, and decide if it's right for you. And if it's not, then you have self-publishing and hybrid publishing as additional options. So you may not know right now, but now you understand and have additional information on what the trade-offs are. So thanks, Matt, for the question, and good luck to you and to all the authors as you're trying to find your path to publish. Thanks for listening. Go out there, dust off your manuscript, and turn it into a best-selling book that grows your business.